On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
Well, we are pretty excited here at Gillian Goss that we have got a final here tonight at Optus Stadium. And I think, Gilly, we have adopted the Melbourne Demons. It's fair to say WA is in Demons territory. First time since 1964 they're chasing their flag, of course. And we're on the Demons bandwagon, great man.
Oh, Goss, I reckon you're spot on, all of WA. I think all of the AFL, other than the three other teams that are still in it, but the supporter base, the emotional vote is going to go with Melbourne. And, of course, they had a heartbreaking, devastating prelim a few years ago. WA loved that because it was the Eagles, but I think everyone's on board for this one on tonight, Goss. Well, no, it's not tonight. Let's be honest. We spoke with Brayshaw a little bit earlier in the week, and very fortunate to have his time. Angus Brayshaw, hard-hitting midfielder from the Melbourne Football Club. Thanks for joining us on Gillian Goss. How's all the preparations shaping up?
G'day, guys. Thanks very much for having me. The preparations, I was just saying before, that we're at Optus Stadium at the moment, about to have our main training session, and it's a pretty exciting atmosphere. The group's been pent up in our hub up in Joondalup for the last 10 or so days, and I think we're pretty raring to go at the moment. So, very exciting times ahead.
Yeah, Joondalup, a fine establishment for the little game with the white ball and a few clubs. We'll get onto your golf in a little bit, mate. But first, what I want to know is the emotion, the memory of going back. You've been obviously back to Optus Stadium since that 2018, but not for a prelim. What's the mindset? Is there much discussion around that disappointing day a few years ago? Because the predominant amount of players in the squad were a part of that.
Yeah, you're right. Look, Gilly, it's 4 years ago nearly now. We don't really take a lot of stock in what happened in that day. Obviously, we learned our lesson at the time. Our group's come so far since then, I think. Look at the development of some of our players from then to now. You're right, with the same majority of them are still playing, but we've come so far. And and you want to talk about memories at Optus Stadium. It wasn't only nearly a month ago when we were chased off the ground with a lightning strike sort of warning and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I think that's taken the predominant mind space of ours for Optus Oval.
It is. Cool. Angus Brayshaw, our guest on Gillian Goss on our Friday Focus. Now, Gus, of course, the name Brayshaw is synonymous to WA, and it is a West Australian name. You have got that West Australian connection. Your dad, of course, Mark, your uncle James, your grandfather, your grandmother, your brothers are here, of course. I mean, you really do have this really strong connection to WA. Does it feel like, in a strange type of way, you're coming home for you? This is like a home game for you personally?
Well, I was born here as well, so I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways it is home. All my family, as you sort of mentioned, besides my mum and dad, are over here. Uncle James is over in Melbourne as well. But at one stage or another, we can all trace it back to here, which is great. I love getting over here. I love playing here. I reckon Optus Oval's a terrific venue, and I've got a great. You talk about who the support's for at the moment. I'd say a fair few of them would be sitting in the stands with a connection to a Brayshaw along the way. So, it's very, very lucky to be able to play footy, considering everything that's going on around the country, and even more lucky, I think, to be playing it in Perth. I absolutely love coming here.
Gus, as Goss mentioned, we both Goss and I have had a strong affiliation with your broader family. Your granddad taught Goss all he knew through the ranks of Channel 10 and what a champion. And look at the polished product Goss is. I locked horns with your great uncle James, and all he did was pour rubbish on me verbally, mentally on the cricket field. Are you as chirpy as your great uncle when you're out in the middle of a footy field?
Well, he is undeniably a goose. There's no arguing that. Having said that, I remember for all his flaws, he's taught me a few things about golf that my old man couldn't, and he also got me a signed Adam Gilchrist cricket card when I was about 5 years old. So I can't put him in the trash can entirely. So I appreciate that on his behalf, but. He's certainly got his strong opinions on footy. We speak a bit and play golf. He lives around the corner from my old man back in Victoria, so he's certainly not short on words. And mate, if anyone who knows him, So just about 90% of them are all trash. But he's he cares a lot about the D's and me. So it's, I think he's on the bandwagon too, which is good.
Angus Brayshaw, our guest on Gillian Goss, ahead of tonight's big game. And, of course, we've had this chat earlier in the week. So normally you wouldn't have a bloke so chirpy on the day of a final in Gus Brayshaw. But, Angus, tell us a bit about you talk about having that player-signed card, still a very cherished memento for you. We are reliably informed from a contact that goes by the name of Hammer Brayshaw, who says that you, Gilly, was your childhood hero.
Yeah, well, I had these, don't mind me saying, Gilly, I had these big ears when I was growing up, and and I got very early pinpointed, all my brothers, we all got our flaws, there's bits and pieces that sort of define us as individuals. There's 4 Brayshaw boys in my family, so we've got to do our thing. And mate, the ears, I was an ears guy, so you and I got pigeonholed together pretty quickly. And I've got this framed photo of you and something about, I can't remember what the message says. I probably could still dig it up somewhere, but I remember it was a badge of honour. After I realised Adam Gilchrist, because I would have been 5, 6 or 7 when that stuck, which was coincidentally around the time that Australian cricket was in its, I would say, heyday, and I wore it like a badge of honour, mate. So that signed card got me through some brawls at home, and I'm very appreciative for it. You wouldn't even remember signing it, but it served me well over the journey.
Oh, no, I remember signing all of them, mate. I didn't sign that many, so they're very strong. Hey, and don't worry about the big ears. I'm slowly growing into mine as well. I'll get there eventually. Yeah. But, mate, we'll talk about the actual prelim and the big opportunity that awaits for you guys this season. But I just want to go back. You had some challenging periods, didn't you, through concussion early on and multiple concussions and a bit of time away, and then how present is that in your mind now? Or is the fact that you came back and wear the protective headgear, has that helped eliminate it? Is there any fear of it? Because there's a greater focus in that area now in AFL and in all sports.
Yeah, Gilly, look, we could talk honestly for a few hours about all that, my concussion journey. I've got a very, very strong focus. I'm very thankful for my family and parents in particular for giving me such great perspective on, life away from football. If I have a good career, I'll play for another, 6 or 7 years, and then I'll have to live another 60 on this planet. So, when it came in that period of time, I was, tossing up, at the time, what's best for my long-term health, as opposed to, am I going to get back and play the next week of footy? And I'm actually holding hands with the late Spud Frawley's daughter at the moment, and so I've been on that journey as well. And the ways that the brain can impact so much more than just your footy, and it's hard. I admit, you're a young kid, and what you're thinking about is playing your next game. It's hard to separate yourself and look at the big picture, but I was able to do that, and thankfully, I'm in a really good spot at the moment. And if that wasn't to be the case, I'd be comfortable putting my long-term health in front of my footy career. But the helmet, and so far as the science goes, it's not 100%. It's not like cricket where obviously wearing a helmet, can save your head. Whereas in footy, the science says that it doesn't work like that. But for me, if it's an extra 1% of confidence, then that's an advantage I'm willing to take, and sure. That's the way I've sort of looked at it. And it's been painted red and blue now, so it actually fits the theme of my jumper, and it all works. And from a safety perspective, I feel really comfortable with where I'm at the moment. So it's something that I'm happy to talk about, but at the same time, that was 2017, I think my last concussion was, and I've been very fortunate to not have to worry about it as much ever since.
Very much so. And just a reminder to everyone, of course, Thursday, September 9 was Are You OK Day. So we've got to make sure we keep that message going as well. Just in regards to your form, you're a different player now. You're playing a different role. You're playing that outside mid, almost that midfield protector role where you've got enough balls in Viney and Oliver and Petrarca and others going through the middle. So your role has changed. Do you think that's also aided you to move on from the head contact and the concussion and the issues like that?
Well, that's a good question. I guess if you consider it, I've been playing certainly a lot more on the wing, so letting blokes like, as you mentioned, Viney, Clayton, they're doing all the crashing and bashing relative to a few years ago. So, that's probably a good point. But Goody's been huge about, and all our team, but we have a really strong focus on the contest. So it doesn't matter if you're, Max Gawn, Ed Langdon, Stephen May, or Tom McDonald. You have to, when it's your turn to go, you've absolutely, got to do that. So I'm certainly not, worried about myself. I'm not running around trying to wrap myself in cotton wool by any means. But look, I think my move to the wings, probably, as I said before, our team's come such a long way, and we've got so many blokes who are now committed completely to playing their role. And all we want to do is win. And, Goody sort of sat down at the start of the year and with consultation with the other coaches, and my role that helps the team win best is out there. So I'm loving playing out there, and whatever the team needs, that's what I'm willing to do. So, I've played back in the back line a few times this year when someone's gone down, and I've played forward 1 or 2 weeks in the middle there. So look, as I said, whatever the team needs to do to win, I'll do. I think that's an attitude that sort of is permeating throughout the group, and that's holding us in really good stead, I think.
Angus Brayshaw from the Melbourne Footy Club with us on the Friday Focus. Gus, how much, or what are the takeaways from that round 23 clash with your opponents down there in Geelong? Obviously came away with the win, got the chocolates twice against them this year, but gee, that was an extraordinary match, wasn't it? Do you review more the fact that you were 6 or 7 goals down at one point, or do you look at it and is that a negative, or do you look at that as a positive? What a fight back. What are the messages from the coaching staff around that particular fixture?
Yeah, look, we did a really thorough review of that game. That had a bit of everything for us. Obviously, we won the game, which was great, but there was a 5-minute patch or 3-minute patch or something like that where they kicked 5 goals in the second quarter. And so, we take a lot of learnings from that. It's not often teams kick those amounts of goals in a row. So for us to be able to, take learnings on how to stop that from happening again, they've got a terrific midfield, and that's a real strength of theirs, is their contest. So, we've learned a lot from that. And then, you look at the way they play the game, the focuses for us, haven't changed at all. So we've already basically, it's just a little refresher on the way they play. They like to control the ball and chip it around. So it's good in a lot of ways. We've done all the preparation a couple of weeks ago now. It's just a little refresher. So we can, look, it's super exciting. We've got a lot of respect for them as a football club. They've been here, I think I saw a stat, about 12 of the last 18 prelims they've been involved, or something ludicrous like that. So, they've got a lot of experience, and we know we're going to have to be playing our best footy to, match it with them. But we also know that we're very capable of doing that. So it's an exciting game for sure.
Last couple before you go. We know you've got heavy commitments. Angus Brayshaw, our guest on the Friday, focused on Gillian Goss. 60,000 tickets sold by 9 o'clock last night. Amazing response. Obviously, it's not the MCG. That's the sad part. That's the down part. Is there messaging inside the group that the Melbourne faithful are watching in their droves, and you're trying to translate that MCG feeling and what they would be experiencing to Friday night?
We've got a very acute awareness of how, obviously we're loving what the support we're getting over here is incredible, but obviously our vast majority of our members are back in Melbourne doing it really tough. So we're certainly, our thoughts are with them, and we realise that the stuff we're doing on the footy field is translating to a lot of joy and a lot of happiness for them who are doing it hard back home. But in terms of recreating an atmosphere, you just have to look back at the Dreamtime game earlier in the year, and we've certainly played in games, prelims and stuff like that. This is an incredible venue to watch football, and if it's packed out, even if it's not packed out, it's almost like an amphitheatre. I feel like it just reflects all the sound, and the atmosphere builds really well. And I think it's going to be, if you said it's sold out, then 60,000 people it'll be absolutely rocking. So there's no, we're not going to have to manufacture any atmosphere or excitement. It's going to be red hot, and we're doing it for the people back at home who would otherwise be on the journey with us, but who can't. So we're certainly feeling for them at the moment.
Yeah, I think everyone's can't wait for the prelims to get underway, particularly those here in Perth. We're honoured and thrilled to be able to host this one, and then the grand final. And with all things go well for you guys, you'll be there. We do solicit a little bit of feedback from our listeners, Gus, and there's a text that's come in only going by HB. I don't know what that's about, but This bloke thinks he's the best golfer in the family, but never plays out away from his home course. When he's out of quarantine, will he be willing to put the white shorts on and take up a golf challenge in Perth? So you're up at Joondalup, HB. I don't know who that is. I just checked the number there.
Yeah.
Goss, is it? Yeah. That's that's the accusation from I guess someone with family links.
Yeah, insightful stuff, Gilly. I think what you've got to realise there is whoever it could be anyone, but when it comes to golf, I'm very lucky. My old man, despite a plethora of shortcomings, was able to get the three of my brothers into Royal Melbourne when we were real young. It's a long waiting. I think it's about 10 years on the waiting list, but because we were, I think, 14 or so at the time, they shot us through the ranks. And I've cut my teeth, and I'm absolutely wearing this like a badge of honour, cut my golfing teeth at the hardest golf course this side of the equator. So when it comes to golfing challenges outside of Victoria, it's like
easy pickings.
I'd like to go down and play under nines footy. You know what I mean? If I went down under nines, I'd hope I'd have a day out. So I'm excited to see what the Perth golfing front has on offer for me. It's hard at the moment because we're sort of locked in at Joondalup. It's like a weird form of torture looking out at blokes tee off all day and not being able to join in. But I'm very, very excited, to say the least, to have a swing. And if HB's got any integrity about him, he'll come and we'll find some way to settle this score, because obviously handicap's not enough. I'm the only single-figure Brayshaw, except Uncle James. He doesn't really count, though. I don't think he's played in too long, so his handicap's relapsed or something. So I'm probably the king of the golfing fraternity on this side of the family tree, and HB can... good on him for messaging in. Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to answer the question.
We'll track him down. We'll follow up on the number and find out who he is and see if he's prepared to be a part of it.
We certainly will. We just go find him. He's the bloke walking around with the wooden spoon. Now, last one for you before we let you go. Your brother hasn't been the same since Lachie Neale left town. And there's all this talk that Lachie Neale's trying to get home now with his beautiful wife and have their baby. Have you spoken to Andrew? And is he incredibly excited with that news that's permeating out of Brisbane?
Well, we speak a lot about all sorts of different stuff. And when I saw that trade, I put it, the news, I put it across the wires. And Andrew didn't have a lot for me. So I'm thinking, there's maybe a bit of truth to it. I'm not sure if Lachie Neale's come out and confirmed or denied it yet. Andrew certainly wasn't able to, but I know that Andrew, when he got drafted, lived with Locke for a bit, and they're very tight. So watch this space. I think he's a super player, and if Fremantle get him back, then they'd be pretty happy about that. So we'll wait and see.
Yes, we'll. The AFL world will be waiting and seeing for sure. Angus, thank you so much for taking the time. My tip for you, that trading card that you got with my autograph on it, put it on eBay now, mate. You might get $5.40 for it, but we'll wait and see. But, mate, you've got bigger things to do. We really do appreciate you taking the time in a build-up to a huge game, and we wish you all the best, not just in the prelim, but should you get through in a couple of weeks into the big one. Appreciate you being on the show, mate. Take care.
Thanks, Gilly. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, boys. Enjoy watching the game, and hopefully, as I said, we'll have a good next couple of weeks and see where we can make some history.